When a convicted terrorist stepped out of prison gates, he didn't disappear into the crowd. He walked straight into the crosshairs of covert police surveillance, his every move tracked, his threats flagged for years. Yet, in a heart-pounding twist, he unleashes a brutal attack on London's bustling streets right before their eyes. How does a watched man become a killer? This is the explosive story of Sudesh Amman, a catastrophic breakdown of systems, deadly assumptions, and a ruthless mind that turned vigilance into violence. Stick around. You won't believe what happens next. Welcome to Crime Pulse. We've just taken our investigations to TikTok, where every major case drops in episodes. Short, sharp, and easier to follow. One clip at a time. Follow at CrimePulse_official on TikTok. The link's in the description. And start binging the stories behind Britain's hidden underworld. Long before Sudesh Amman became known for terror, he was a troubled teenager in northwest London. Living with his mother and 5 brothers in a house social workers called chaotic and extremely unclean, Amman grew up in a dysfunctional home. His father had returned to Sri Lanka and was largely absent. The warning signs started early, a paper trail of violence and instability that followed Amman, often referred to as Sudesh Amman in reports, through his school years. By April 2016, at just 16, Amman was accused of attacking a fellow pupil with what was described as a gun, axe, and sword. A year later, in February 2017, he escalated further, allegedly trying to slash a classmate with broken glass before landing a brutal punch to the head. These weren't just schoolyard fights, they showed a deep aggression. During a mental health assessment, Amman claimed that aged 14 or 15, he had witnessed the decapitation of human bodies on a trip to Sri Lanka. But here's the twist. Investigators found no evidence to back this up. Was it a lie to inflate his image as a hardened figure, or a fantasy born from a mind already fixating on violence? Either way, it painted a picture of a teenager whose psyche was fracturing, vulnerable to the pull of something darker. His home life offered no stability. The chaotic household and absent father left Amman adrift. Social workers flagged the dysfunction, but his mother saw the real toll. She tried to pull him back, pleading with him to reject extremist ideas. Her distress was clear, especially later when Amman called himself a terrorist. Yet her efforts couldn't reach him. What drives a teenager to such darkness? For Amman, his violent actions and unstable mind were primed for a dangerous path. By May 2018, 19-year-old Sudesh Amman was deep in extremist circles. A Dutch blogger alerted police to his posts in a Telegram chat group where he declared he was armed and ready. Fueled by ISIS propaganda, Amman idolized lone wolf attacks with knives and improvised weapons, dreaming of martyrdom and a heroic status among extremists. His hatred for authorities and non-believers drove him to act. A search of Amman's phone revealed his attempts to spread this ideology. He encouraged his girlfriend to join him, urging her to kill her unbelieving parents if necessary. He even targeted his own family, trying to radicalize his 11-year-old brother and telling his 15-year-old brother he wanted to blow himself up. In the end, he was arrested on suspicion of preparing a terrorist act and charged with possessing and disseminating documents useful to terrorists. He pleaded guilty. The judge was especially alarmed by Amman's efforts to radicalize his young brother and his talk of suicide bombing. The conviction led to a 40-month custodial sentence, but under the rules at the time, Amman had to be released halfway through. His arrest didn't stop his extremism. Prison was waiting, and it would only deepen his dangerous beliefs. Sudesh Amman spent his entire jail term in Belmarsh prison in southeast London, a fortress for Britain's most dangerous criminals. He showed no sign of becoming less radical. If anything, his extremism deepened. Fueled by his status as a Terrorism Act prisoner, he rejected the desistance and disengagement program, shutting the door on any hope of reform. Amman forged bonds with high-profile terrorists, including Hashem Abedi, brother of the Manchester Arena bomber, Ahmed Hassan, the failed Parsons Green bomber, and Abdullah Ahmed Ali, mastermind of an al-Qaeda plot to blow up transatlantic airliners with explosives hidden in liquid bottles. The Mercury intelligence system, used to track inmates, logged Amman's efforts to radicalize others in Belmarsh, even in the months between his arrest and conviction in November 2018. Reports flagged him for allegedly planning to attack a prison officer. One chilling entry noted He openly shared extreme views which include a desire to kill the Queen, become a suicide bomber, and join ISIS. Another captured his justification of Fusilier Lee Rigby's murder outside Woolwich Barracks. Lee Rigby was a soldier and killed innocent people, so he deserved it. Eye for an eye. He was moved to the high security unit, but that just made it easier for him to associate with other convicted terrorists. Amman found a hub for convicted terrorists, including Mohayyasunov Chowdhury, once cleared of plotting an attack outside Buckingham Palace, but later jailed for life for another planned assault. In December 2019, with his release approaching, a cell search uncovered a handwritten pledge to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, leader of the Islamic State group, though it wasn't confirmed as Amman's handwriting. Graffiti resembling the ISIS flag marked his cell, alongside extremist literature and notes hinting at attack plans. Yet Amman's calm demeanor often masked his intent, disarming staff who might have underestimated his threat. Intelligence noted he had bulked up, training in the gym for the sake of Allah. In a phone call with his mother, he declared, "I am a terrorist. I am in prison for terrorism. I was a bad person. I'm not going to lie to you. I still am a bad person, but Allah will forgive me. You know I'm a bad person." One report stated that, in a conversation with another inmate, Amman said, "These non-believers, I'm not finished with these non-believers yet." Amman's unchecked extremism in Belmarsh raised urgent red flags. Authorities knew his release would bring a ticking threat. As Sudesh Amman's release date neared, counter-terrorism detectives watched with alarm. His prison behavior, radicalizing others, threatening violence, and idolizing ISIS marked him as a ticking time bomb. Probation's risk assessments meant to flag such dangers fell short, and multi-agency public protection arrangements failed to share critical intelligence. How could such a threat slip through? On January 3, 2020, Amman jumped on internal netting between jail landings, causing disruption. Officers hoped this act might extend his sentence. Intelligence logs also noted unreported threats, including plans to target non-believers post-release. In an intelligence update circulated by officers in Counter-Terrorism Command, they wrote that, "It is the collective view of the senior investigating officer, investigation team, and all partner agencies that he represents one of the most dangerous individuals that we have investigated." On January 15, 2020, Detective Chief Alexis Boone wrote to HMP Belmarsh Governor Rob Davis. The letter detailed Amman's behavior in prison and urged, "I would respectfully ask you to consider if, based on the incident on the 3rd of January 2020, there are any additional measures that could be imposed that could delay the release of Mr. Amman in order to assist mitigate the significant risk he poses to the public upon release." But 8 days later, under the rules at the time, Amman walked free. His release unleashed a threat authorities knew was coming. Sudesh Amman's release sparked alarm. Authorities imposed strict license conditions, a satellite-linked ankle tag to track his movements, a curfew confining him to his probation hostel from 2100 to 600, 1000 to 1100, and 1600 to 1800, and a ban on entering large parts of central London. The Metropolitan Police's Counter-Terrorism Command, alongside MI5 covert policing, launched a plan to shadow him everywhere. But the surveillance team, stretched thin and struggling to coordinate with MI5 and probation, faced gaps in communication. Could tighter surveillance have stopped him? Days after his January 23, 2020 release, officers were armed to protect themselves and the public, bound by a policy to act only if an attack was imminent. On Friday, January 31st, a week into his freedom, the team trailed Amman to a poundland on Streatham High Road. He bought aluminium foil, parcel tape, and urn brew in plastic bottles, items that raised a shadow of suspicion. That was all he purchased. On February 2nd, hours before his attack, Amman visited a mosque, a move that hinted at his final preparations, but went unnoticed by the overstretched team. The purchases set off alarms, pushing authorities to act fast as Amman's intentions became clear. Those suspicious Poundland purchases triggered an urgent response. SO15 and MI5 held an emergency joint operations team meeting that evening, knowing the items could be used to make a hoax suicide belt. Communication breakdowns between police, MI5, and probation muddied the response. The purchases could have been a license breach, grounds to recall Amman to prison, but no one acted. Why didn't they act when they had the chance? The JOT debated arresting him but decided there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. An arrest would only tip him off that he was being followed. Instead, the Joint Task Force ramped up armed surveillance on Amman to 24 hours a day, including his curfew hours. Rajiv Menon, representing Amman's family at the inquest, called this the big missed opportunity to thwart his plans. He branded the police operation a miserable failure that left Amman free to pursue his deadly intentions. With Amman still at large, authorities braced for his next move, unaware of the calm before the storm. The morning after Amman's suspicious shopping trip, surveillance officers faced a somber briefing, bracing for danger. How did a quiet day hide such danger? That Saturday, Amman seemed harmless, popping out to buy chicken at lunchtime, his calm facade hiding the violent intent noted in prison reports. The next day, February 2nd, the calm shattered. At 13:22 GMT, Amman stepped out of his probation hostel, a bulky camouflage coat draped over him, an empty JD sports bag slung strangely across his stomach. No one clocked it might conceal a fake suicide vest. A 9-man surveillance team, some on foot, others in cars, one on a motorbike, tailed him to Streatham High Road in South London. Amman paced erratically near the street, his agitation a warning sign missed by the team. On the way, he called his mother, his voice steady. "Bye-bye, I love you, mummy." What unleashes a man to strike so fast? He slipped into the low-price store, where he'd previously lingered in the knife section. Before an officer could follow, Amman burst out, a large kitchen knife gleaming in his hand. He raced through Sunday afternoon shoppers, stabbing a woman and a man in a 62-second frenzy. The team scrambled to react. Outside Boots, he spun toward 2 pursuing officers who bellowed, "Stop!" Armed police. The knife flashed as he lunged. Both officers fired, and Amman fell, his rampage halted. The chaos left Streatham stunned, with urgent questions about how it happened echoing into the aftermath. The Streatham attack sent shockwaves far beyond its 62-second chaos. After the incident, ISIS claimed responsibility through its AMAC agency, touting Amman's rampage as their own, though no evidence linked him to direct coordination. The victims, a woman in her 50s and a man in his 40s, faced grueling recoveries. The woman battled a collapsed lung and lasting psychological trauma, while the man endured extensive surgery for life-threatening wounds. Streatham reeled, gripped by fear as shops shuttered and trust in safety crumbled. The attack, alongside the 2019 London Bridge stabbing by another released terrorist, Usman Khan, exposed fatal flaws in the system. Amman's early release after serving half his sentence sparked outrage. In response, the UK government passed the Terrorist Offenders Restriction of Early Release Act 2020. The law ended automatic halfway releases for terrorism offenders and imposed stricter monitoring to prevent future tragedies. The chaos of February 2nd, 2020 left a lasting mark, forcing a reckoning with how to stop the next Sudesh Amman. Thank you for watching today's episode. Do you want more gripping true crime stories like this? Subscribe to Crime Pulse for deep dives into cases that shock and intrigue. Like, comment, and hit the bell to never miss an update.